Church. Welcome to episode 14 of our study on Galatians. And we got quite a bit of verses this time, so I'm going to run through them fast, try to keep us 10 minutes or less. So if I don't answer a question you have, feel free to stick those in the comments. But let's jump right in. Verse 12 here, and I think we're going to go to, let's go through verse 20. So 12 through 20. Brothers, I entreat you, become as I am, for I also have become as you are. You did me no wrong. You know it was because of a bodily ailment that I preached the gospel to you at first, and though my condition was a trial to you, you did not scorn or despise me, but received me as an angel of God, as Jesus Christ. What then has become of your blessedness? For I testify to you, if possible, you would have gouged out your eyes and given them to me. Have I then become your enemy by telling you the truth? They make much of you, but for no good purpose. They want to shut you out that you may make much of them. It is always good to be made much of for a good purpose, and not only when I am present with you. My little children, from whom I am again in anguish of childbirth until Christ is formed in you. I wish I could be present with you now and change my tone, for I am perplexed about you. So just recalling where we're at, Paul is perplexed for the souls of the church of Galatians. They're in the middle of buying into some heresy that's going to lead to apostasy and to a gospel that does not save. And that gospel, as we've said over and over, is faith plus works equals salvation. Oh, I went up too high. All right, so let's work our way through it quickly. Brothers, I entreat you to become as I, for I have also become as you are. Now, normally, we've seen Paul use a similar phrase where he talks about, be like me because I'm like Christ. I'm a Christian. Follow my model because I model Christ. But that's not what he's saying here. He says, become as I because I have become as you. And if we look at the Greek, Paul's using the word genomai, which is a word of existence, come into an existence. So Paul is saying, I exist as you, so you exist as me. So what's he mean there? Context of this letter, Paul has already told us that he once existed under the law. He was a Jew, lived under that law, born under it, tried to strive for self-earned righteousness under that law. Realized the law wasn't what saved him, it was faith alone. So Paul is saying, I've been there, but now I exist as you are, free from the law, saved under faith. So he's saying, exist as I exist, because I exist as you exist, as one saved by faith. Continues to go on. We're not going to spend a lot of time in 13 and 14. What is this ailment that was a little bit of a trial for the church of Galatians? Many people speculate epilepsy, but we're not going to chase that rabbit today. What has become of your blessedness? Where is the excitement about the gospel of Jesus went to, where it's faded and now you're trying to supplement your salvation? And Paul then goes on in verse 15, I testify that you were at one point you would have willingly gouged out your eyes for me. But then verse 16, have I then become your enemy for telling you the truth? So the church that once loved Paul, that trusted him, would do anything for him, is in the middle of abandoning what he had taught them. Faith in Jesus saves. Faith alone in Jesus saves. There's a principle in verse 16 that's highly applicable to us in our walk, especially in today's society. Have I then become your enemy by telling you the truth? How many of us today don't want to share the gospel because we don't want somebody to be our enemy? We're afraid they may not like us. Or we see a Christian, a brother or sister in sin, and we don't say anything because we want them to like us. Sorry, I'm at the office and got a phone ringing. But how many of us don't share the truth because we don't want to make an enemy? That's something that we've all probably done at some point or another. Doesn't make it right. Paul had the courage to tell the Galatians they were in serious error. He had the courage to tell them this is a sin. He had the courage to tell him you were on a path that does not lead to God, cannot save. Paul had that courage. Do we have that courage with our friends? Do we have that courage with our family? something to reflect on today. Then Paul goes on to say, they make much of you, but for no good purpose. They want to shut you out that you may make much of them. Verse 17 is, which the NET doesn't quite, we're going to look at the Greek again. I know we're getting a little bit nerdy. But the Greek here, the zealoo, this is let me see if we got it on there. Nope, I picked up the wrong one. Yeah, I did. We're good. One of the gloss definitions is jealous. This is where we get our English word jealousy from. We're going to open up our trusty BDAG dictionary. It can be used multiple ways, this one word. Unlike typically in English, jealousy is always used in a negative sense unless we're using it in a joke. But the Greek word can be something positive. It is that desire to exert oneself earnestly or be dedicated to something. Or it comes in the more negative sense, which is what our English word, jealousy, be filled with jealousy, envy. So we've got to ask ourselves, what sense is Paul using this? Well, I think when it's directed at the false teachers here, he's meaning a negative sense. He's telling them they're jealous of you, jealous of your freedom from not living under the law, that you don't have to obey the kosher food law, something they had to live with, that you don't have to observe all these Sabbath laws and the holidays. And there's a certain jealousy because salvation by faith alone, it seems to be an easy salvation. You don't got to work for it, and that's pretty simple. And so there's a little bit of a little jealousy, a little envy that this is being the gospel is so easy for you. But he tells us in verse 17 too, they want to shut you out that you may make good much of them. But sorry, I got somebody knocking on my door. Just 1 second. No, I'm almost done. Sorry, interrupted by the pastor. I blame him. All right, where were we? They want to shut you out to make much more. Yeah, so you'll make much of them. So they want you to chase after them. They want you to desire for them. It's that and it's still being used in a negative sense. That the reason they want to shut you out of this faith alone salvation is so you will make much of them, that you will think highly of them, desire to be like them. Going to skip down to verse 19 and 20. Paul shares his anguish with the church. My little children, for whom I am anguish again in anguish. In 20, I am perplexed about you. Paul shows pastoral care, that fatherly, motherly love for other believers. And this kind of goes back along with that, when we talked about that truth. Are you willing to be an enemy of someone, risk being an enemy to share that truth? Paul has that love, that anguish. He deeply, deeply cares about the souls of those he encounters. And do we have that? Do we anguish over the lost? And just something to, as you go to work, go to school, and you look around your friends and coworkers, do you have that anguish for them? Do you have that desire that they know the truth no matter what, even if it means possibly losing a friend? All right, we'll leave you there, and see you next time.